Welcome to Tell Me Your Story, New Paradigms for a New World. We're giving you choices and knowledge of those choices to help make your dreams come true. And we are here. Here it is, our special edition of Tell Me Your Story, New Paradigms for a New World, where we are talking with LUMARI. And we are in week number 2 of our conversations in regards to the book that we're talking about, Living Inspired with LUMARI. Last week, we started out with part 1, which was Awaiting the Brilliance. Chapter 1 is Divine Invitation. I'll tell you what, maybe what we should do before we go to chapter 2, let's just do a quick, 3 to 5 minute summary, if you would, of that chapter 1 in terms of the Divine Invitation. LUMARI?
Oh, I would love to, and thank you, Richard. It's an honor and a joy to be here. So when we're talking about inspiration, most people really don't pay attention to those intuitive hits, those inspired messages, those feelings of guidance. They come in, they might change your attitude for a moment, and then everybody lets them just flow away. And when I'm talking about inspiration, I'm talking about it as a divine invitation. When you have inspiration, whether it's an idea or something to do, whether it's a way to do your business, whether it is, inner guidance, whether it is like how to design all these new paintings, or please get in the recording studio because you got too much music to make, whatever it is, right? The divine is speaking with you and inviting you to play. So I like to say, when you hear that, which can be a whisper, it can be a gentle feeling, and the divine is saying, will you come and play? Will you join this sacred dance? I, as the divine, have wonders and beauty to share with you. When we talk about that and you look at inspiration in that way, you have a whole other relationship with the messages that come through, because inspiration is messages, even though we may receive them in many different ways. Because it could be a physical thing, it could be a vision, it could be a voice, it could be all these different things. I won't list them all. But it's the divine engaging with you. And then when you follow the inspiration, then you get bigger ideas and you get flashes of energy, and you can start to follow the brilliance that is inspiring you. And that's what this book is about, and it is honoring the inspiration that you receive. And really, when you look at inspiration like it's a divine invitation, that's a whole other thing. Like if you get a written invitation in the mail to somebody's party, you don't go, yeah, whatever.
You go,
oh, I have an invitation. Ooh, oh, this sounds good. Oh, I'd like to go to that. It's a whole other thing. And it really is communication.
Very interesting. Well, folks, that's part of what we're doing in this series here at 9 o'clock on a Wednesday. And we're talking about all of this because we want to help you live a more fulfilled life, shall we say. So we're going to dive into the next chapter in Living. The title of the book, once again, is Living Inspired with LUMARI. And we're going to move on to chapter 2, which happens to be, ironically, Living Inspired. And Living Inspired is a new concept that changes how you view and pursue inspiration. And with this wisdom and discovery, you actively pursue inspiration instead of waiting for it to happen. And I can speak from personal experience, especially in the present, not so distant past, and we're talking the last few days or weeks, that I have been searching for inspiration, for guidance. And as a matter of fact, one of my friends, LUMARI, has sent me something that says, talk to the guardian angels, yours, and he gave me a list of them, like 15 or 20 different ones for beauty and for purity and so on and so forth. And you have to ask them to help you. They're not just going to help you, and you have to be specific. And it seems to me like from that side, if you will, from the divine side, I'll call it, is kind of where we can get inspiration, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. And the thing is that because most people's, I'll say, relationship with inspiration is sporadic. So it's like some people actually in this world don't get inspired at all. They can't perceive that way. They don't receive guidance or inspiration or anything like that. So when we look at that, just using an example for everybody listening, if you look at the artists, the creators, the innovators, the visionaries in our world, those are the ones who receive inspiration. Now, what do you do with that? So, you want to take action. You want to not just go, oh, that was a really cool thought. Wow, yeah. Because guess what? I mean, the amazing things that have happened on our planet happened because somebody got inspired and then they decide to live inspired. They decided to follow that action, follow that guidance, follow that inspiration, and be active in it. Not passive, like, oh, cool, man. I'm being very sick, right? You look dude. Right? It's like, yeah, UFO just flew by. Whoa, okay, what's next?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
And yet, like the people, if we look at all of the social activities that have changed our world, whether we're looking at, different ways to grow things and different ways to process things and environmental things and art things. I mean, there's a sculpture in one of the museums in Santa Fe that they took plastics, okay, all the crappy plastics that were thrown out, and they put it all together and created a whale, like a 40-foot long whale.
Wow.
From the plastic.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So now if we look at it and interpret it, right, they gave power back to the ocean because they took that stuff out and they created a whale, which is one of the biggest things in the ocean anyway. How symbolic is that? Besides being a beautiful piece of sculpture, that's a visionary statement. So when we look at living inspired, this is active. This is not like sitting waiting for something to happen. This is engaging with the energies of inspiration, pursuing it, not sitting and waiting. And most people don't even know how to do that. They don't know how to connect with their passion and power and possibility and connect with inspiration, divine messages, creative insight. So that's one of the reasons that I've written this book. I don't want anybody to let their inspiration go.
Right.
I want you to have it.
Yeah.
I want you to live it. Can
But,
you imagine living your inspiration every day?
Wow.
Yeah.
It would certainly save it would certainly save a lot of stress.
Yes.
It really would. It's one of those things that I mean, I've been going through, and as you and I have shared off air, I've been going through some things. I won't go into detail because it's we don't have that kind of time. But as I am moving through that time and space, I'm trying not to think. I'm trying not to speak. I'm really working hard not to get emotional. I am looking for that impression. I'm looking for that insight or inspiration, if you will, from within. And it did come. And I would have to say that here's one of the things that, as I mentioned earlier, about calling upon the guardian angels. Mm-hmm. And you made this comment to me in our off-air conversation. In the situation that I have been dealing with, I asked for help. And I'll tell you, I'm not embarrassed about asking for help. And yet I know there are a lot of people I mean, you hear this phrase, you've heard this phrase, especially way back in the day. Oh, no. I don't take charity. I don't take charity. No. And it's like, they're trying to help. They're
Yeah.
trying to support you, and so forth. That's part of what it is to be in a community. And yet, I know there are people who still feel that way. They're embarrassed by getting hit. My wife works at Unity Shop, and the people that she associates with, not just the fellow employees and volunteers, and they call them clients who come in. She does everything she can to make them feel comfortable, and not to feel ashamed or that they're getting charity, because that's what it's there for. So that's a big thing, isn't it? That's a big thing.
And so, like, I'm going to have the conversation where, yes, you're asking, but I'm saying you're being open.
Okay.
All right?
All right.
So you don't have a limitation or an ideology that says, I can do this, but I can't do this, I can receive this, but I can't receive. You're open. So when you're connecting with inspiration, being inspired is like receiving, right? Okay, you got triggered, you feel something, and I'm not dissing being inspired, okay? Because you're receiving guidance, magic, beauty, wonder, you're receiving it. But being inspired is passive. You're receiving it. You're not taking it. You're not actioning it. And so, like, when you're living inspired, you're active. You become a cause. You're involved with the creation of inspiration. You're stepping right in and participating with the inspiration and with the universe, instead of just receiving and going, oh, wow, isn't this cool? This really moves me, or isn't this interesting perspective? Now you're allowing the inspiration to activate you, and you're also letting it lead you like it's a guiding force, and you're taking action with the universe. That's living inspired. And can you imagine really waking up in the morning and feeling that? Like, oh, whatever has connected with you, now you're taking action. Now it's inspiring you, but it's a relationship. You're not just receiving it. You're playing in it. And that's really powerful for all of us. It's like when you connect with inspiration, you get to share it. So you get to bring out the artist, the creator, the visionary, the change agent that you are. And it doesn't need to mean that you're going to create a global movement.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All different aspects of inspiration change lives. I've done really small things that have changed people's lives because I was inspired to do it. And when I was a sculptor, I used to do sculpture installations in cities.
Mm-hmm.
I had a team of women artists like myself. We'd rent a truck, and I'd put sculptures out all over the city. And then we had film where we would take pictures of people looking at the sculpture. I didn't announce it. We just looked, oh, this is changing people's lives. Sometimes they liked it, sometimes they didn't. With my spiritual work and the channeling and all the energy that I do, I'm bringing things in, but I'm not limiting myself, and I get to share it in different ways. Sometimes I'm sharing it one-on-one with a client. Sometimes, like we're talking about, I'm sharing it in a book.
Mm-hmm.
So some people might not know me, might not meet me in person or speak to me over the phone, but they have access to this inspiration because they wrote a book, Living Inspired with LUMARI, because I wouldn't shut off my inspiration. And it wasn't like I was sitting there Googling, well, is this a good topic? How many hits will I get? All of the business stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was like the universe, the divine said, hey, you need to write about this because people do not get it. Like, okay. And I get to share it with you. And whatever I'm saying if it tantalizes anyone who's listening, then they get to connect with this inspiration. And of course, we want them to buy the book, naturally.
Right. Sure.
And we want them to connect with me online and download some of my free gifts and meditations and everything. And having a conversation about living inspired changes how you look at your life. I'm not saying that you need to wake up and be in tears because you have coffee. That's not actually the inspiration we're talking about.
Right.
Although, if you do have a coffee farm or you're a barista, you might be in tears by how good the coffee is. That might inspire you. But it's like you relating with the divine, being open to receive and taking action so that you're living that inspiration.
That's very cool.
Richard, what would that look like in the world?
It would be absolutely amazing. It would. It would be. It would make each one of us so much freer, stress-free. And boy, I'll tell you what. That is one of the things that I find is probably, again, one of the most challenging in that regard, is to feel that freedom.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that sounds strange to some, but the reality is that going back to what we were talking about earlier before the program, I would really prefer to have that darn freedom. And to know that I don't have to stress over all of this stuff, because in the long and the short of it, if I am understanding what you're talking about here, and maybe I'm going a little too far on this, and that is that in the big picture, none of this really matters. It's important that we deal with what's going on in this world. And we've talked about this before.
Sure.
But when I'm gone in some 40 plus years, divine willing, none of this is going to amount to a hill of beans.
Well, the thing is, if we look at it, right? So, obviously, everyone listening probably already gets the fact that I'm an uber optimist.
Yeah.
Not the car ride.
Not the car ride, no.
But the thing is, if we narrow this down and we say 50% of the people who live in Santa Barbara have made a commitment to live inspired, and they're going to listen to the inspiration that guides them wherever it takes them. Now, listening to your inspiration doesn't mean you forget about all the other things and you forget to eat and you forget to go to work or whatever it is.
Yeah.
It means you bring that into your life. Well, do you know that if 50% of the people in Santa Barbara made a commitment to themselves, not to us, right, to themselves, I would definitely say read the book, but otherwise I'm just saying to live inspired, right?
Mm-hmm.
What would their life look like? They could change the whole world. And that's just Santa Barbara.
Mm.
It's not, okay, we're going to do it over here, we're going to do it over here, we're going to do it over here, right? It's just Santa Barbara. Can you imagine what the school systems would look like for the kids? What traffic jams would look like? What, billboards would look like? What people would look like? How you would interact? Because living inspired is fulfilling. And I'm not even saying that your inspiration is the gig you do. It doesn't necessarily have to be the job. We have so many different conversations about the work and what we need to do here and what we need to do here. You can enjoy your work and be inspired to do other things.
Yeah.
lots of people in this world actually do. They have their gig that they do, that they enjoy, that brings in whatever they need, and then they volunteer to do things. Or they create things that maybe they'll show in the world and maybe they won't. They don't care. They just want to create the music. They don't care if you hear it or not because they're not looking for a crowd. They're looking for their inspiration, and they're not going to let that song disappear in the back of their brain. They're going to create it and sing it and put it together, and whether you hear it or not doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and we look at all the different crafts in the world. We look at how people grow things. We look at, you know, any of those things. If you have that inspiration and you're taking action there, maybe it will create such a huge change in your life that you do change all of those things. And maybe you look at it and go, ooh, this is one more thing in my life that's going to make me even happier. That I'm going to love it, that I'm going to connect with things and listen to the whispers in my mind and my heart and follow the magic in my life. And I'm going to play there.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not going to let what people told me ages ago that was like a fleeting, you know, inconsequential thought. I'm going to actually look at it like it's important because it came to me.
Yeah. I think that's something else, too, that we need to acknowledge. Actually, the last phrase that you uttered, it came to me. Well, it came to me for a reason.
Yes.
And I think, this just for me, and I need to work on this too, I should feel grateful. I should feel honored that the divine has graced me with this particular inspiration. I mean, believe it or not, I'm not saying that I'm being inspired in this necessarily in this direction, but you kind of alluded to this. There's the possibility that I could be inspired to go in a totally different direction than what I've been doing for the last 45 years.
Sure.
Which, on the one hand, would drive me crazy because it's like, well, what the heck do you want me to do now after all of the training that I have gone through in the last 45 years to get where I'm at today? And yet at the same time, I don't believe that any of what I've experienced in the last 45 years has been a waste of time. There's something there in that period of time that is going to apply, and I may not understand it now, to the new direction that I might be going in.
Exactly. And the thing is, if you don't listen, so here's the brilliant me making you feel guilty.
Thanks. I needed that. You're my. I call you my Jewish mother. How about that? Or Catholic.
Okay,
either way. Either way.
I can be the guilt goddess.
There you go. Okay, I'll take that. We'll take that.
Please, no. But anyway, if the divine is giving you messages, if you're receiving visions, ideas, and you don't pay attention, what are you saying? That the divine doesn't matter? Are you saying you're too lazy to do anything? That you don't care that the divine tapped you on the shoulder and said, darling, I have something for you. I'm sharing this with you. And guess what? If you don't do it, I'm going to say the divine, she'll bring it to somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
And you can look in the world, everybody can look in the world and go, oh my God, that was my idea, I didn't do that one. Oh, I had that idea 20 years ago, I didn't do that one.
Yeah.
Because it's being shared with you. It's not coming to you randomly, right? This isn't the lottery where you just pick a number and pray. This is the divine contacting you, sharing wisdom and inspiration with you, and you can take action. You may not know where it's going to lead you, and that's okay, because we never do. We never know where it's going to lead us. I mean, and, you know, Richard, I'm a psychic, so I know where things are going, but that doesn't mean I know every single detail or even why I got the message here And oh yeah, a year later, it's really not for me. It's for my clients who called me up and are like, here, this is what you need to do. No, I downloaded it. I got this inspiration, but it's for you. But I didn't throw it away and say, sorry, not me. I held it as sacred and knew that there was something that was going to relate to that I was going to, okay, it might not be my gig, but I know it's really important that I receive this, and I know that something is going to come through, and I'm going to be able to share this with the person who needs it. It's theirs.
Yeah. We are talking with Lumari. We're talking about the latest book that we are going through called Living Inspired with Lumari. And you can get a copy of the book through her website, lumari.com, or at Amazon. And it's available, obviously, in several different formats. Kindle is certainly one of them. And over the coming weeks, we're going to be going through each of the chapters and talking about this. And today, of course, we're talking about living inspired here on Tell Me Your Story. I'm Richard Dugan, your host, and of course, Lumari is with us every Wednesday from 9 to 10, following the news, and she's a gifted, internationally acclaimed intuitive life coach, creative catalyst, conscious channel, vibrational activator who has guided thousands of people worldwide to awaken and live their higher soul's calling. And we're actually wanting to get in touch with our higher soul for that inspiration. And of course, serving as a catalyst, she's guided and inspired. She's a guide and inspiration for personal and planetary transformation, evolution, and awakening. And for more than 30 years, she has actually coached, my cursor was in the way there, she has coached and guided visionary leaders, creatives, and change makers to create the higher vibes shift to accelerate their gifts, follow their highest destiny, and uplift our world. And, of course, she has other books. She has a free gift for you folks from Lumari. It's at lumari.com/sacred space. And it's a personal sacred space meditation that helps you feel clear and whole, connected to your deeper self, and in touch with your own energy, vision, and purpose. She has other books in addition to Living Inspired with Lumari, which is Engage the Lights of Awakening, a Revelation, and Transformation. That's available, of course, at Amazon. And she also has some other books as well, and we will talk about those in just a couple of moments. But let's get back to this whole aspect of living inspired. There are those who are listening who they can sort of relate to what you're talking about in terms of maybe the impressions that they have received, but they haven't been quite sure and maybe even quite secure in what to do with those impressions.
Oh, that's perfect. And one of the things so everybody who's listening, if you want to, so for me, remember I said that this is active. So you're not just waiting for inspiration to happen. You're pursuing it. So that sacred space meditation that Richard mentioned, and it's a free gift on my website, helps you tune into your own energy without the distractions of anyone else's energy, anyone else's thoughts, anyone else's emotions, anyone else's ideas. So when you want to tune in, it's a perfect energy to help you do that and feel clear and aligned with yourself, which is what you want to do when you're paying attention to inspiration. So the first thing, if we were going to give a little guidance on inspiration in this moment, the first thing that you have to do is really pay attention. Really listen to what happens. What is being said? What are you feeling? What are you noticing? What's happening? Because if you don't, then you let it go by. Like one of the funny comments, because we know I have a sense of humor, one of the funny comments I have in this book is I said, I think I'd like to create a bumper sticker that says, I brake for inspiration. So if inspiration comes to me, I'm putting on the brakes and I'm pulling over. And I'm stopping to listen. Because you don't want it to go by.
Yeah. Yeah.
And most people do. So the most important thing is to stop, listen if you hear things or feel things. I'm using the word listen in a broader sense than just your ears. And pay attention.
Yeah.
So you give yourself space for that. So using a musician as an example, right? If a musician starts to hear rhythms or notes, well, she doesn't just oh, that's cool. If she writes music, she's going to write the notes. Otherwise, she's going to sing whatever it is into her iPhone to record the tune that's happening. Or she's going to stop everything and go into her studio and start recording right away. She's not going to let the song go away into the ethers and go, gee, last week I had a great idea for a song. Oh, well, another one will come one of these days. No. And I'm using that example because most people have heard stories about musicians who really, they talk about how they create music and how they just push everything aside and they go into that. Well, how it got there was inspiration. Like my husband and I used to have a joke. Okay, when I had my art studio in Boston, I had a nice loft, I would be in the zone of creating. Okay, totally in the zone of creating. And I would have like all of this stuff on the floor, rolling things around, doing all of these sculptures and everything else. And I would actually be so engaged in what I was doing that I didn't realize that my legs fell asleep while I was sitting there. Oh, I couldn't get up.
Heavens. Heavens.
It was hilarious. He would, he had the studio next door, and I would go, hello? I think you need to move me. I can't get up. Because I would be so the inspiration. And why would I let it go? I mean, I know it is, I'm telling you the humor of it, right? Because I didn't do that all the time. But it's like when that comes to you, you don't want to let it fly away. Like, oh, yeah, that was a really cool butterfly, thank you. No. This is the divine contacting you, and you want to take action. Mm-hmm. The first action is consciously paying attention. Now, that might mean writing something down because you get the idea and you put it in your phone or your notebook or whatever. Or it may mean even taking more time going, wait a minute, this is big. I need to sit in this. How you engage in it afterwards will also come to you. So it might be, oh, yeah, I got to work on this. I better clear my schedule. Or it might be, oh, well, you know what? I'm going to stay up until 3 in the morning because I have to get this done because the energy's so clear, I don't want to lose it.
Right.
Or it might be, oh, yes, I need to create a whole system for this. It'll take me 3 years, but I'm engaged, and I'm going to play. That's active.
Cool.
Make sense?
Yeah. And we need to stay open to that, if you will, activity or that active aspect.
Yeah.
It's so important to stay open to that because the moment that we close off, we miss out on so much. I'll be the first to admit that if I am stuck in my intellect or my emotions or even my physical body, a certain aches and pains or what have you, whatever the sensations are, I'm closing that door, and it's like I need to swing that door wide open. Matter of fact, if I could, I would take that door off its hinges. If I could. I'm not sure that I can, but nonetheless.
It's time for an inspiration balcony.
There you go. I like it. I like that. That's very good. That's very good. It is one of those things that we are really, really trying to understand. And again, all of this that we have been talking about, and you keep me on the straight and narrow here. All that we are talking about has everything to do with who you are. And understanding that, understanding you. Nobody else can do it for you, for one. I sure as heck wouldn't want to do it for you, especially, I'm sorry, but especially considering the fact that I've got enough to do with taking care of my own life. You know, and there's actually a line, and I want to say it's a 1960s song. I can't even remember. I'm going to have to look those lyrics up to find out what song that is, but I think you probably know what I'm referring to as far as those lyrics. I'll be damned if I'm going to run your life. I'm trying to run my own, you know. So, but I'll encourage you. I'll support you. I'll be there. I'll do what I can. And it's like with LUMARI and even with what I've been going through. She's been there. We've talked. She's given me some insights. Do I use every single thing that LUMARI tells me? No.
Why not? No.
But see, that's the beauty of it all, is that we need to know when to sort of shut off the input from our external world.
Yeah.
And go within. And
well,
because...
And the thing is,
go ahead.
Also not paying attention. So, again, I'm using when I was young, I didn't know that I was receiving guidance and channeling and psychic, and I didn't know that. I thought I was an artist. I thought all artists thought like I did. This is like from kindergarten.
Right.
Right? So, this is just my way of being. And I had I'm lucky that my parents were artists. My mother painted, my father was a drummer. But they still didn't think that I was going to be able to make a living doing artwork. Nobody did. They told me all sorts of other things. And for me, I just looked at it and I said, now I know that actually my new reality is spiritual guidance and channeling energies and frequencies and all of that. But back then, all of those messages all came into the context of art for me.
Mm-hmm.
There was no way I was going to be able to not receive and act on it. Whether it was painting, whether it was doing sculpture, whether it was teaching other people to do these things, whatever it was, there was no way I could look at it, no matter what they said. There was no way I could follow their guidance because it wasn't true to me. Now, I have to appreciate myself for actually thinking that way back when.
Mm-hmm.
Because most people listen to what other people said, and I just didn't. But I think part of the spiritual guidance that I kept on getting from all sorts of different beings helped me realize that their voice wasn't as important as the voice I was hearing within me, the voice said.
Mm-hmm.
And I did things, and I followed that guidance. And it got me to places and connections with people and personal expression that I never would have gotten.
Yeah.
And I'm saying it and I'm using it, because I did things that I didn't know was courageous, but now I know it was. Like for me to get into art school, it did not come from a family with bucks, right?
Right.
But I had to get into art school because it was the only thing I could do. In me, within my being, right? Mm-hmm. So I just figured I'll take my portfolio and I'll meet the president of the university, and he'll help me.
Hey.
And I actually thought that. Richard, I went to his office to meet him. I didn't make an appointment. I just went there.
There you go.
With my portfolio. And I told his secretary, I have to meet the president because I have to get into this school. This is the only school that I can get into. I know how much money I need to make in order to pay. And she's looking at me and shaking her head. And he opened the door in his office.
Uh-huh.
And said, come in. And she, I could see the shock on her face. Oh, he helped me get in early. He coached me.
That's cool.
But that was because I was receiving all of this.
Yeah.
from the divine, from the inspiration of my artwork, from connecting with all of the energies. I followed that. Well, anybody would have told me I was nuts. That's why I didn't tell anybody I was doing it.
Right.
I just went in. He worked with me for 6 months. He
Wow.
introduced me to the vice president. And every month I went in with my new portfolio, and they told me what was good and what wasn't good and how I could do this and this and this. I mean, come on. People don't do that, but they did.
Yeah.
They did.
You.
And I'm saying that because that was another level of inspiration.
Yeah.
Completely different. And yet, it changed the course of my life because I just said, well, this is what I got to do. All right. And I'm saying it because almost everybody who's listening to us are having the same thing. They've had that inspiration.
Yeah.
They've had that thing that tickled them and wouldn't go away right away. And they might not have done anything. But imagine what would happen if you do.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, forget about all the stuff in the past that you didn't do. What's tickling you? What's moving you? What's delighting you? What's challenging you? What's, inspiring you? And you want to take action. You want to listen to it and take action. And it might not be the thing that changes your entire life, like a big transformation,
Right.
turn into a rock star or something. But it might guide you in a way that brings you more joy and purpose. And that's what we want.
Exactly. And I have to, and again, I do my best to be straight with people. And the hardest thing for me is when I am challenged on, let's just say, my position or my feelings, and I'm being questioned as to, well, I don't think that's what you really are I don't think you're really in touch with, and da-da-da-da. I mean, even going back as far as working for the Christian station that I was working for and being challenged on my salvation. I mean, and of course, the first thought to me was, and of what business is it of yours?
Right.
This is a personal relationship that I have. And you just keep your nose, your nose out. So it is one of those things where we are all trying to make sense of all of this, and we will, but we have to do it for ourselves. That's kind of what I said in a previous program, Lumari, where you're seeking out guidance and so forth from others, and they're sharing it, or well, for example, on this program with a wide variety of guests and all of the insights that they have, right? And thinking, wow, I should incorporate everything that this person is saying, and it's like what you just said. Yeah, well, the totality of it isn't for me. Maybe there are little pieces here and there that I might be able to glean, but that's for that person. And they're sharing it so that they can say, hey, I did this, I made it happen, I'm grateful to the divine, etc., etc., etc. And then people will listen in and say, oh, wow, well, maybe I'll give that a shot, or maybe something else in what they've said resonates. And maybe it's an entire hour-and-a-half interview and they heard one little thing, and it was that one little thing. And that's why we spread out the smorgasbord. We're coming to the end of our program here, and I would like for you to have the last word on this whole aspect of this second chapter on living inspired.
So I'm inviting everybody, like we talked about divine invitation, right? I'm inviting everybody to be open and listen and active for inspiration to happen. So that might be, you wake up in the morning and say, I'm open to being inspired today. It might be that simple. It might be that you receive something and normally you put it aside, but you've made an agreement to really pay attention to it. And it might be that you look at it and go, oh, I don't know what's there yet. But you see, inspiration changes lives. It changes how schools work. It changes our evolution. It changes our community. And it can benefit everybody. So I'm inviting you to listen and pay attention and then celebrate the fact that you did.
Yeah, and that's what you've got to do. LUMARI, lumari.com's the website. Always grateful to have you on the program, and we'll look forward to talking with you next week as we dive into Chapter 3. I'm not even going to give you a clue. I thank you folks for listening and telling me your story, New Paradigms for a New World. We're giving you choices and knowledge of those choices to help make your dreams come true. And until our next broadcast, podcast, videocast, love to Lal. Jeanette, I am still listening. Dad, continue to be happy. And Mom, who is still on this side, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. To my friend Smokey, I'll see you on the other side. And to my dear friend Zorro, aho, aho.